Good morning, everyone. I'm honored to have the chance to share my work here. My name is Tan Dan. Came from University Malaysia Sabah. The title of my presentation today is The Influence of Personality Differences Among Chinese Students on English Speaking Anxiety and Pedagogical Implications. There are 5 aspects to this topic. Starting from background, then literature review. Next, we introduce the methodology, the findings and discussion, implication for pedagogy, and finally, I will conclude this paper. Firstly, came to the background. Language anxiety is one of the most influential emotional factors in foreign language learning, especially in the oral communication aspect, which has a negative impact on academic performances and motivation. In Chinese English classrooms, the phenomenon of dumb English is widespread, with students lacking confidence and being reluctant to speak English. That may be because of the traditional teaching model. It overemphasizes grammar and examinations, neglecting students' emotional needs, which in turn intensified anxiety. Let's come to the literature review. Speaking anxiety has a significant negative impact on language learning, and language speaking anxiety is particularly prominent. Currently, some studies have mainly focused on dumb English and teaching strategy interventions, but they have limited results, and they fail to take into account the profound influences of learners' personality traits, such as neuroticism, extroversion, and psychoticism on English-speaking anxiety. Based on these limitations, this study integrates personality with speaking anxiety to explore a personalized teaching model in order to alleviate students' anxiety. Now, I will introduce the methodology. This study involved students from the 3rd grade of junior high school in Chengdu. A quantitative method was employed to gather data, and we utilized 2 instruments. One is the Foreign Language Classroom Anxiety Scale, to measure anxiety specific to language learning. The other is the I-Think Personality Questionnaire, to assess fundamental personality dimensions. Data was collected through a face-to-face questionnaire survey, which was conducted over a period of 1 month. For the data nature, we adhere to strict ethical standards. The data is anonymous and primary. Participation was entirely voluntary for all students. At last, all collected data was analyzed using the SPSS for statistical computation. Let's move on to the results and discussion. The first objective is to study the level of English-speaking anxiety in English classes of middle school students. From the table, we can see that most of the middle school students had moderate English-speaking anxiety in English classrooms. These findings have the similar results with Liu and Sun. The psychological state of middle school students is in the transition period from maturity, which may cause higher anxiety when speaking English in public. The second objective is to explore the differences in English speaking anxiety based on students' personality traits. So from here we can see that the psychoticism, the level of English speaking anxiety, was lower for students with no psychoticism than for students with very pronounced psychoticism. As it's unusual for middle school students with high psychoticism to have a stronger self-esteem and competitive spirit. For introversion and extroversion, introverted students have lower levels of English speaking anxiety than extroverted students. From some study, extroverted students may be overly active in the classroom and they worry about making mistakes in expression. For neuroticism, emotionally stable students were less anxious than emotionally unstable students. Middle school students are in puberty. Their personalities are still in the process of development. Based on the above results, this paper puts forward the following suggestions. Overall, English teachers should fully consider the individual differences of students. Firstly, implementing the stratification and grouping strategy based on personality. For students with very pronounced psychoticism, extroverted and emotionally unstable, they have higher levels of English speaking anxiety, so they can be arranged to practice in groups or pairs to reduce the pressure of public speaking. In role-playing activities, such as stimulating conversations in travel agency, teachers can pair introverted students with extroverted students to form a group. Secondly, teachers should form a diversified formative evaluation system. The diversified design of formative assessment can alleviate the pressure brought by traditional grading, and pay more attention to the student's learning process and emotional development. Specifically, it can combine self-assessment, peer assessment, teacher feedback, and digital learning record to conduct a comprehensive evaluation of students' oral expression, participation, and progress. Through process feedback, students can promotely understand their strengths and weaknesses and to receive emotional support, thereby enhancing their self-efficiency and classroom engagement. So, in conclusion, the results of this study indicate that personality traits are an important factor influencing English speaking anxiety. Based on this finding, this paper presents a framework of personality oral language learning path, which not only enriches the theoretical research on the relationship between anxiety and personality traits among English learners, but also provides practical guidance for the reform of middle school English language teaching. So, that's all of my presentation. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you for your attention.